Because we are all connected to the past and we are all connected to each other. We pour libations and we say,
The arts remind us of our universal connection.
It's time for all of us to work together to build a better future for all Chicagoans.
And the mission of Collaboration is really about social change in Chicago, using theater for social change.
Our goal here is really to give a stage to people and to get voices heard, right? Make a community.
You see it in Peacebook, you see it in Encounter, you see it in the youth programming. Collaboration opens creative doors for people.
We are all born into this existence crying a symphony masterpiece. We are not all artists, but we are absolutely all masterpieces.
I could never have imagined the beauty and the truth that has been brought together tonight.
And we do that in a way that allows us to not just see a show and be touched by entertainment, but take the time to dialogue with one another.
So no matter how much we talk about there needs to be a change, there won't be a change unless we see you be the change.
All right, all right. Hello, hello. Are we connected?
Yes, we are.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes, we are. Wow. Hi, friends. I put a
Hi.
tie on and a blazer.
Yeah. I see. You're dressed up for the occasion.
I'm getting ready for the gala. I got a nice outfit for tomorrow. I went shopping yesterday. I got hooked up by Derek, who's worked at Macy's for 45 years, and he knows how to put a guy in a blazer. Marcus, I'll have to send you his way. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Happy life to you. I am Anthony Moseley. I'm Collaboration's artistic director.
I am Carla Stillwell, director, playwright, cultural historian of Black Joy, and the producer here at Collaboration.
And I'm Marcus Robinson, Together Network host and member of Collaboration's board of directors.
Welcome all to the 26th episodes of Crucial Connections and the first episode of season 3. Wow. Crucial Connections, Collaboration's monthly gathering around this digital campfire to cultivate our connection and personal obligation to one another. Tonight, we do have a very exciting show. I can't believe it, Marcus. We started this back in 2020. And in the beginning, it was just, a reason to get dressed up and see each other. And now we've had so many great guests. And tonight we have a very, very special show. Marcus Dunleavy is here. That's right. We are going to be exploring the work and social justice messages in the poetry of Gwendolyn Brooks, Pulitzer Prize winner, Poet Laureate of Illinois, and one of the most important and influential writers in the United States of America's history. We have a special guest poet from Chicago who has created some new pieces inspired by Gwendolyn's poetry. His name is Jeronimo Speaks. Jeronimo will be speaking tonight and performing those poems. I'm so excited to be here.
Tonight, we will be joined by Nora Brooks Blakely, my friend, one of my mentors. Nora was the producing artistic director and primary playwright for Chocolate Chips Theater Company in Chicago for 29 years. Her readings and lectures have been conducted in several states. Ms. Blakely taught for 8 years in the Chicago Public Schools and spent over 20 years teaching drama and writing workshops for students and teachers. She is the daughter of two writers, Henry Blakely and Gwendolyn Brooks, and founded Brooks Permissions, a company which manages her mother's body of work and promotes its continued relevance in the 21st century. And tonight, she will be joining us for this special program. And also she'll be telling us about her upcoming project. She has a book. I am so excited for you all to hear about that.
Can't wait to hear about the book. Can't wait to hear some of the stuff she shares tonight. But before we bring Nora up on stage, we do want to make sure you know about our annual gala, the Utopian Ball. It's this Saturday, October 23rd at the Venue West facility, and you can come in person or you can link virtually. You can see the link to it in the chat. Hopefully they'll even show you our poster or whatever for this event. So please join us if you can, or become a Collabor Activist member starting at just $1 a month to support and sustain our work to incite social change, and you'll receive great benefits for doing so. So just go to collaboraction.org and learn more and join today.
That's right. And, you know, the silent auction will be going live, I think, tomorrow on our Facebook. And if you can't come in person, which it might be a little too late to, because I think we are out of chairs and bourbon and molasses tenderloins, but you can, but if you really need to come, just contact me at anthony@collaboraction.org and I'll make sure you get in. But you can watch virtually. But now it is an absolute honor to welcome to our digital stage 29-year artistic director career. That is serious. Here she is, Nora Brooks Blakely. Welcome, Nora. So great to have you.
Greetings upon thee. How are you doing today?
Great.
Wow.
Happy
to have you.
So good to have you in the house.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Hi, Marcus. Haven't seen you in ages. So I'm happy to be here. And basically, I just wanted to, I was excited about sharing a little bit of my experiences with Gwendolyn Brooks and the way in which I think that she still speaks to where we are. So for those who don't know that much about Gwendolyn Brooks, she was, as has already been mentioned, the Illinois Poet Laureate for over 30 years. I don't believe that record will ever be broken. She was the Library of Congress poetry consultant. She was that poetry consultant just the year before they changed that over to the National Poet Laureate. So she missed that title, but just that much. So, excuse me. She's also, as people have mentioned, a Pulitzer Prize winner, but she wasn't just a Pulitzer Prize winner. She was the first Black person to ever win the Pulitzer Prize for anything. Some people say the first woman, some people say the first poet, but no, she was the first Black person to ever win it for anything. And that was in 1950, and the Pulitzers had started in 1917, so the same year she was born. So do the math, and you work out that for 30-something years, there had been no Black representation there. I want to squash a myth, a legend. My mother was not part of the Great Migration. people thought she was, but no, both of my grandparents already lived in Chicago. And my grandmother, Keziah, only went back to Topeka because Mama was her first child. So she wanted to be with her mother when she had her first child. So that's how she was born in Topeka. She lived there a whole 6 weeks of her life, and then came back here. And from then on, she was a Chicagoan, and never really wanted to be or live anywhere else. Chicago is definitely her home. She as far as her impact, I think it's really important when we're talking about changing times and people who change things and so forth. It's important to know just how much of an impact she had on the literary scene. You know, she developed verse journalism, and so where it was actually almost news reports in the poetry, although it was indeed poetry. One example of that is Chicago Defender Sends a Man to Little Rock, and I'm not going to read it all because it's a very long poem, but just to give you an idea, when the reporter is trying to figure out what's going on, because he sees all this hate and stuff in Little Rock, but he also sees people just going throughout their days. And so he's a little confused. So he says that, and true, they are hurling spittle, rock, garbage, and fruit in Little Rock. And I saw coiling storm arise on bright Madonnas, and a scythe of men harassing brownish girls. The bows and barrettes and the curls and braids declined away from joy. So that's just an example of her verse journalism, which is something that other people continue to do. And I think it's a very exciting concept in the world of poetry, that you can tell these stories. If you're interested in another example of that, then you could also look up her poem, Thinking of Elizabeth Steinberg, which talks about the very young girl, about 6 years old or something, who hit the papers in the 1980s and was responsible for a lot of the child abuse laws that were created after that, because of the brutal way she was treated by her mother and I believe it was her stepfather. But Mama wrote a poem about that that makes me tear up whenever I read it. So Mama was a woman who observed things. You know, she got out there or sat in there and looked around, because she wasn't a person who came and visited a Black community. She lived in the Black community. She didn't speak about the things that happened in Black lives from a tower, from an ivory tower or any color tower you choose. She lived in the mix. And so when they came to give her the Pulitzer Prize, actually the lights were out and nobody was sure what was going to happen because they hadn't paid the bill. And so they were sure was going to happen. And to this day, nobody knows for sure how this happened, whether somebody reached out to the electric company or knowing about this visit paid the bill or whatever. But when they went to plug in the lights for the cameras, the lights came on. So, but that was part of her younger experience, and even her experience as a mother. She was already a mother to my brother Henry. I came along a little later. And so that experience of not having enough money all the time to do things was part of what she and my father and my brother and I also lived with. So it wasn't, oh, I wonder what it feels like to be poor or not be able to pay a bill or whatever. She knew what it was. And when you read in pieces of hers about people putting paper rugs, newspaper rugs on the floor in the bathroom and stuff, I was like, hey, wait a minute, we did that. So all of that was a part of her being a part of this world. Another example of her reading, of her watching and intaking everything that was happening, is one of the poems that, as I understand it, Jeronimo Speaks will be used as a theme for one of his pieces that he's going to read. And that is An Old Black Woman Homeless and Indistinct. So I thought I'd read that one, and then you could hear what he did with it from his experiences in his own work. Your every day is a pilgrimage, a blue hubbub. Your days are collected bacchanals of fear and self-troubling. And your nights, when you put you down in alley or cardboard or viaduct, your lovers are rats finding your secret places. When you rise in another morning, you hit the street, your incessant enemy. See, here you are in the so busy world. You walk, you pass the people. No, the people pass you. Here's a rich girl marching briskly to her charms. She is suede and scarf and belting and perfume. She sees you not. She sees you very well. At 5 p.m, Miss Rich Girl will go home to brooms and vacuum cleaner and carpeting, to cats, to marble top tables, to telephones, shiny green peppers, flowers in impudent vases, visitors. Before all that, there's luncheon to be known. Lasagna, lobster salad, sandwiches. All day there's coffee to be loved. There are luxuries of minor dissatisfaction, luxuries of plan. That's her story. You're going to vanish, not necessarily nicely, fairly soon. Although essentially dignity itself, a death is not necessarily tidy, modest, or discreet. When they find you, your legs may not be tidy nor aligned. Your mouth may be all crooked or destroyed. Black old woman, homeless, indistinct, your last and least adventure is review. Folks used to say they'd celebrate your birthday. Folks used to say, she's such a pretty little thing. Folks used to say, she draws such handsome horses, cows, and houses. Folks used to say, that child is going far. So I wanted to share one other that I think that that Jeronimo is going to be working from. And that's a poem called To Prisoners. And what I like about this poem is not just that there is so much talk now and deserved talk about social justice, about prison and the percentages of Black men who end up in prison as compared to the number of Black men who end up in college. And it's very important to, and now other groups have started who represent prisoners, have started using this poem by my mother. But the other thing I like about it is that it doesn't just speak to people who are behind physical bars. There are many different kinds of prisons and prisoners within, and I think that this addresses all of that. I call for you cultivation of strength in the dark, dark gardening in the vertigo cold, in the hot paralysis, under the wolves and coyotes of particular silences, where it is dry, where it is dry. I call for you, cultivation of victory over long blows that you want to give and blows you are going to get, over what wants to crumble you down, to sicken you. I call for you, cultivation of strength to heal and enhance in the non-cheering dark, in the many, many mornings after, in the chalk and choke. So as we get closer to the end of this, the question that I wanted to answer, asked or not, is about her legacy. If we're talking about changing times, then are we talking about how she not only changed them, but how her work continues to change them? I think that part of that was her commitment to seeing the world around her so clearly. And in a time that we are talking about Black life and generational wealth, I think we also have to talk about generational creativity and the importance for all of us to take that creativity that we have learned and that we have, and to make sure that it passes down among the generations. And when you look at her position, not only coming up as she grew up around the time of the Harlem Renaissance, but moving beyond that to many different phases in Black literature and 20th century American literature in general. You also see how she hopefully has passed down her perspective, how in the Black arts movement, she left HarperCollins, a major general population publisher, because she felt that that was hypocritical. And so she left there and went to work with a Black publisher, Broadside Press at first. Third World Press, now Third World Press Foundation, later on. So other Black writers looked at that and said, I need to do that too. I need to follow that path. Her meticulousness in her writing. If a letter is capitalized, if there's a period or another piece of punctuation someplace, there's a reason. Where she puts her line breaks, there are reasons. And I hope that that has encouraged many other people to have that kind of meticulousness about their punctuation, their capitalization, their phrasing, etc. And her generosity. When she was, when the governor asked her, Governor Kerner, to be the Poet Laureate of Illinois, she said, what would her responsibilities be? And he said they would be commensurate with your pay. Well, her pay was nothing, but she felt that she needed to do something if she had that position, besides just doing an occasional poem for a particular event. And so she created the Illinois Poet Laureate Awards for children from kindergarten through the end of high school. And all the money for all of the prizes for all 30 plus years that she ran that contest, she paid out of her pocket. So that generosity of spirit, that willingness to help other young writers and peer writers is something that I can only hope that we all take to heart and continue. Personally, for me, it was important to me living with and living within her writing life. So except for meals, the dining room table was where her typewriter was, the center of the house. And so that was part of my everyday experience, getting a chance to go and meet other writers and listen to other writers read. Those were key things. To live in a house with a woman who had a career at a time that was much less of a given, and to have that as something that was taken for granted, and that she would leave and go out to do writing tours at different points. And I would make little signs that would say, welcome back, as a kid when she came back. But to see how she observed, to see how she observed the world and how she had a little notepad on her marble-ish top of a wooden nightstand, and watching television, that little notepad was filled with things that she learned from TV, notes that just came to her for writing ideas, menus of what she had eaten or was going to eat, all these little things. And now down at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, in her archives are all boxes of all those little notebooks that she wrote in. So those are some of the things that stood out to me as I grew up with this writer. I hope that my writing sees the world as clearly as hers, but in almost everything I write, there's a little bit of myth and or magic as well. In the musical Shiny on the Hill that I wrote, a little girl dreams of taking a rocket slide to the stars, and she does. She does. In my upcoming book, which comes out November 30th of this year, is my first official storybook, and I'm so excited. It's called Moyenda and the Golden Heart. And it's about a young boy who goes out on a quest to find a great treasure to bring back to his village. The idea is, the story is what I call a possibly. Possibly it's true, maybe it isn't. But it raises the question about a possible connection to Kwanzaa that maybe, just maybe, all these hundreds of years ago, there was this little boy who did things that fit within each of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And so it's a book about creativity and being giving and caring about people and collective work and responsibility and faith and purpose. And so I'm very excited about that. If you want to know more about it, you can reach out to me at info@flyingcolorsunlimited.com, and I'll be happy to let you know more. But I wanted to wrap up this part of Crucial Connections with a poem that I consider to be extremely crucial. And although my mother is best known for a poem called We Real Cool, I'm hoping that this one is starting to take that one over. It's called Paul Robeson. It's a tribute to the great actor, activist, singer, you name it. And it's short, and this is how it goes. That time, we all heard it, cool and clear, cutting across the hot grit of the day. The major voice, the adult voice, forgoing rolling river, forgoing tearful tale of bale and barge and other symptoms of an old despond. Warning in music words devout and large, that we are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. I am so excited for this opportunity because, you know, I know you for years. I had the opportunity to be in fellowship with your mom, who was an amazing human being, just a wonderful shining light. So it was very important to me to have you here if we were going to have this discussion. And it's also very important to me, because I know it's important to you, that we feed into the next generation of poets and spoken word artists. So I fell in love with this young man about a year ago on some other projects, and he is phenomenal. And I couldn't think of anyone better to reimagine and embody some of Gwendolyn's work. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Jeronimo Speaks and have him share maybe some of what inspired him to write what he wrote and the pieces that he created. And then we can have us a rich discussion about this work?
Yeah, I chose two pieces, an old Black woman, homeless and indistinct, and I chose prisoner. I'll do the pieces, and then I guess we could go into why they spoke to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I see a daily downtown in front of the daily. Most walk fast when they walk past, and I must admit, so do I. Quickly shifting my gaze as I catch her eye. Excuse me, sir, can you spare some change? Well, God bless you. I said, excuse me, sir, can you spare some change? Well, God bless you. As I quickly walk past, coming up with mischievous logic as why I shouldn't give her the 75 cents that I'm gripping in my pocket. Assumptions with no knowledge. And I'm like, she out here daily. Clearly she making a profit. But the next day is the same. Excuse me, sir, can you spare some? Next day. Excuse me, sir, can you spare some? Next day. Excuse me, sir, can you spare some? Next day. Excuse me, sir, can you spare to change? Well, God bless you. What did you say? I said, can you spare to change? Will God bless you? I know the homeless are a dime a dozen, but more than a quarter of the time, it's mental illness that got us struggling. And yes, sometimes substance abuse is a factor, but when your home is a Home Depot box, ain't nothing whacker than living under whacker. So of course it gets tense with me. When one garbage truck can destroy a tent city, you don't think a bomb could get bombed? Well, here's a penny for your thoughts, a bucket of water and a squeegee for your car, some shoes so you can take a mile in my walk. This world twirl ain't my fault. I'm just a victim of circumstance, circumventing certain plans that gave people of our skin a raw deal, dating to the 80s crack era to the 94 crime bill. So can you spare to change? Will God bless you? Will you take heed to these words or act as if they're nothing special? Wasn't Harry Potter birthed in the back of a car being used as a home? Wasn't Medea created at a point when Tyler had no place to go? We might live savage, but you too busy focusing on our fabric to see our magic. Even Kevin Hart had to help a homeless Tiffany Haddish. Just because my hair's matted doesn't change the fact that I would rather sleep on a mattress. So can you spare to change and break these chains? I see a daily downtown in front of the daily. And now with a pocket full of coins, I exchange change for change. I'm doing the work. At least I guess so. That's a piece. And then this next piece is based off of the prisoner piece that spoke to me as well. This is for prisoner $. You know, the one sold into slavery for selling nicks and dimes, doing twice the time, versus his counterpart that got locked up for a white collar crime. This is for you. You know, even the cage birds sing, so sing while you're down and sing. When they tell the news that they put the state's villain down in Stateville, just respond that prayer's real. See, they can lock you up, but they can't lock you down. See, they can put you in a hole, but they can't put you on hold. See, they can shackle your arms, but can they shackle your soul? It's almost laughable. They feed you in rations and expect you to be rational. Hunger pangs can turn the best of prisons into the hunger gangs. I understand your pain, but they will never understand your brain. You've been on this highway to prison since the 4th grade. Even at 13, you were sinning without repentance. Knew you'd be a victim of the 13th Amendment, and they let you speed to that death date until it's inmate, cellmate, checkmate. Are you okay? No, seriously. Do you tuck your emotions to inflate your ego to survive this ego? Prisoner $. They say you're a cancer to society. But it's time to show that you're benign. It's time to show the world that what you're truly about. Because only 2 days matter. The day you go in and the day you come out. Prisoner $. And that's that piece.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. So can you speak a little bit about why those two pieces?
So for the first piece, old Black woman, homeless and indistinct, I felt convicted, as I was reading that piece, because like it was like a comparison of two worlds. Like, she was Gwendolyn Brooks was talking about how this queen is out here, homeless, begging for money, and as they walk past, people well-off people who got luxuries and a warm bed and they eating like the best foods is walking right past her like she doesn't exist, and they're going home and they're spending they're throwing away all this money and stuff and helping this woman. And then when I read that, I was like, whoa. I say, I'm not rich and I do that. You know what I'm saying? We walk past the homeless like they just don't exist. Like that they not somebody's mother, like they're not somebody's sister, that they're just irrelevant, instead of taking the time to sit with them and having the conversations on how they even got there. You know what I mean? And so when I read it, I felt super convicted. And she was talking about how once when at one point in time she was the most beautifulest girl, she used to take care of the most beautifulest horses. She had personality, she had character, but she died nameless, just another person in the streets. And she didn't do her to society, did that. Society took away her name, her identity, her character, because of the amount of money that she did or didn't have. And so I felt real convicted when I was reading that piece. So that's where I came up with, can you spare some change to, can you spare to change? Will God bless you,
Yes. And your connection with because I have my own connections with the prison piece. I do a lot of work in juvenile detention. So I have my own connections. What are your connections with that piece?
So for the prison piece, like, so when I read the prison piece, my connection to that was, I was like, whoa, ain't much changed. Like, you feel me? Like, like that 13 it has been prevalent for the last, like amount of years. So, and I'm like, and when I read it, I was just like, she's talking about she's trying to empower these prisoners, like, to stay out of that darkness, survive when you surrounded by wolves, and I just wanted to do a comparison of, they in a situation that's dark, and they in a situation where they got all these wolves and these predators around them, but the circumstances that surrounded that is set up. You know what I mean? The 13th Amendment, you feel me? The all of the causes, like and one is I said they limit your rations and expect you to be rational. Like the hunger pains can turn any prison, the best of prisons, into the Hunger Games. You know what I mean? Like, you feel me? And so it's like they put you in these situations and expect recidivism. They expect you to come back into this world a citizen when you had to spend the last umpteenth amount of years just trying to survive. And so I was just like, it's powerful. Like, and it's like, different age, same thing going on. You know what I mean? That poem is just as relevant as it was back then as it is today. I mean, as it is today as it was back then. So I definitely related, especially, and I'm from an urban community. I know so many people that's going through that. Since as far as I can remember, a pipeline from prison from the 4th grade, they know if you're going to jail, and that's why I said from the 4th grade, they knew you had a death date, you know what I mean? And so it's all systematic, so that's what it's about, that piece.
I am floored by the passion, and I think that there's time for this to be a discussion. The chat is lit. The chat is lit up. People are feeling it, and I would love to pass it to Anthony so that we can open up the doors of the church. With Nora and Jeronimo.
I'm anxious to hear what Nora thinks. So I'm going to use my better judgment and save my words for after Nora, and also we didn't have a Jeronimo. Thank you for joining. You are incredible. Nora, thank you for sharing and reading and opening up your perspective on your mother, and in doing so, sharing your own perspective as an artist. Nora, what did you think about? How did these inspired by pieces land with you?
I'm glad you asked, because I wasn't typing fast enough on the chat with my fingers on the little keys. And but what I had started to say was, Jeronimo, you captured this so perfectly. And I just was just almost every other word you were saying, Jeronimo, I was like, yes, yes. Oh my God. I'm glad, I'm hoping this is being recorded, because that needs to be down somewhere. It needs to be somewhere where it can be pulled back up and said again. It was just, it's, and the thing that we do with Brooks Permissions in trying to, as we say, continuing the relevance of Gwendolyn Brooks in the 21st century and beyond, is talking about pieces like that. Her poem, Patrick Bowie of Cabrini Green, is about a young boy that gets shot on the street. And she refers to him as our sparkling contribution, our flash of influence interrupted. And if that's not what's constantly happening now out in the streets, I don't know what is. And so, for good or ill, so much of what Mama wrote 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 70 years ago is still speaking to people now. In Street in Bronzeville, the first book that came out in 1945, one of the pieces is Kitchenette Building, and she talks about we are things of dry hours, grayed in and gray, and speaking of so many people who are living in these small, tiny little places, claustrophobic places, and are feeling this way. I mean, so yes, I just want to roll back to that. I thought that, and Jeronimo, I love the way you play with words, and the words that live in your poetic neighborhood, that live next door to each other. I just love the way that you work them. And so your connections to both of those poems was just, I thought, phenomenal.
Thank you, Queen.
Beautiful. Yeah, your use of the pun is unbelievable. You open up with, I see it daily downtown in front of the Daily, which it has so much subtext there.
It's a whole picture.
It's a whole thing. Yeah, it's a picture, and it's a history of the Daily family and their impact. And we take that to Bridgeport and Irish. It goes all the way back to the race riot of 1919 in the first line downtown. And we now see a woman maybe sitting there. Nothing whacker than living under whacker.
Yeah.
Can we get a t-shirt?
And sell them and give the proceeds to some
people under whacker. We should actually just make shirts and give it to them to sell.
Definitely.
Like that's a mood.
Unbelievable. It's such a simple pun, but nobody's ever done it before. And it's not like we gave Jeronimo Speaks a lot of time to do these things. Nothing like the power of a deadline. That's what
I know, right?
You're welcome. You're welcome for that. And then
I'm sorry.
I have one more note here I want to share with too. I mean, the ration and rationale thing is amazing. And can you spare to change? So I'm not as smart as you guys, so I had to just confirm what spare means. I looked it up on Google, and it says give to, afford to give, or give something of which one has enough to someone. So the spare implies that you have enough to give me a piece of what you got. You know, so it's unbelievable. And that you turn that around and were able to share it with us. What a special thing to be part of. Thank you all so much. Marcus. Carla, please.
Real quick, because I don't want this to get lost. People want to know, Jeronimo, where they can find your work.
Okay.
So if you can drop it in the chat.
Okay. And for these two particular pieces, I can send over to you guys, and you can upload them to your sites.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they're I get the actual poetry, the written script of it, you know. So
yeah,
so they can
please
find it.
Yes, we will share that on social media, and and we're gonna have you perform those again in live.
Definitely.
And absolutely drop your contact stuff. And Nora, I put your info of the Flying Colors email in the chat. But if you have anything else,
thank you.
if you have anything else you want to drop in the chat about the book or anything, I just wanted to put that out there, because I'm telling you, this chat is lit up. You guys have brought an energy that's amazing. I'm sorry, Dr. Marcus.
Yeah. I just wanted to capture that business opportunity that just surfaced there. I just wanted to encourage Nora and Jeronimo to get together and to sort out the licensing for the various materials that will come with that coined phrase together that joins it. And since Nora's got a platform for it already, and a business that's generating, that's all about generating the work of the illustrious goddess we call Gwendolyn Brooks, that'd be a great business opportunity to get it going. So if you need some help talking about how to make that work, you know, get me on the phone and we'll figure out how to turn ideas into money.
Okay, definitely. I'm definitely with that.
Listen, I'm already playing with an idea that I have that I want to talk to Jeronimo about for my mother's birthday in June 7th, coming up in next year, which would have been her 105th. We survived the centennial. Now this would be the 105th year since her birth, and there was something that we were doing, and now having heard this, I'm playing around with something in my head, but I don't want to say it out loud yet because I need to process, and I need to talk to other Brooks Missions people. But let's just say I'm very excited about a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, Nora, we're gonna be there in the front row, so if we can help in any way, let us know, because we're already gonna be there.
And I just want to point out now, because I'm still hanging on to the mic. I haven't dropped it yet. I'm about to, though. Gwendolyn, Nora, I hear you channeling Gwendolyn, all right? So there's a channeling going on here. I sense her presence flow through in the cadence and lyrical nature of your voice. There's something about it that is speaking to me. I just wanted to give that to you, that you not only presence her work for us, but you've got half her genetics walking around in you. So anytime you breathe life, you breathe her life with us. I just want to give that to you. Like you are that extension of her that still is in the world, changing the world. So I just want to give that to you. And then the other thing is that, God, there's something about the way folks used to sound back in the day in the movement. And Nora, you have that in the voice, and the cadence of the verse has it in the verse. I can hear folks talk like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Jeronimo was picking up when he was reading into it. He could hear the sound of it going down like that, pitter patter, pitter patter. Oh, that's how that rolled. Okay, put a beat on that. All right. Okay, put a beat on that. Mic drop.
That's inspiring. Some of that is intentional, and some of it isn't. When as a kid, as a teenager, people would call the house and confuse my voice for mama's, which as a teenager is not something that you're happy about. But
But that little black phone on that little black phone from back in the day, on that little black phone, you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, you had color by then. Or did you have color by then?
We had at least part of the time I remember us having color, and the little princess of whatever phone that looked like the little earmuffs and what, but so some of it I just remember from having heard her for so long do the pieces. Sometimes there are particular pieces of it. And We Real Cool, I can do almost, when I do it almost exactly as she did it, so yes.
Yeah, you got it. And it's contagious because he got it too. And he didn't even
Generational creativity. Let's keep it going.
Yes.
Well, we mentioned DNA and, nature versus nurture. Right? You can really be nurtured by the influences of the people you are with. And we cannot discount that at all, because when you create a piece, you impact people and you change them. Gwendolyn Brooks did that, of course. And right now I do feel we are in a special age of the spoken word. Amanda Gorman really shifted the perspective of the country at the microphone. We had the Illinois Youth Poet Laureate, Iman Loren, perform with us at Peace Book. I don't know if either of you know her, but unbelievable ability to get inside your head and your heart at the same time. And that's what both of you and Gwendolyn have done. It's incredible. And it's why we cannot underestimate the power of poetry, right? To transport. It is not the flashiest form. It is not the most populous, but it may be the most impactful and most simple human communication that there is, and the oldest. I got news for you. Before there was theater, there was poetry. What is poetry but two words together? It's unbelievable. We have some great guests in the chat. If anybody would like to dare to turn the camera on and pose a question for our unbelievable once in a lifetime gathering guests here with Jared and Nora, please let us know. In the meantime, what else is on everybody's heart tonight? Oh, where will the 115th celebration happen? That is in the chat. And then Robin Hawkins says, my heart feels full to see the support offered to this extremely talented young man.
Thank you.
Nora, where do you have a location yet for the 105th?
At the present point, the plan is to be right here on our phones and other devices. So because what we've been talking about doing, and you'll know more in the not too distant future, but what we've been talking about doing is encouraging people to do different things all day. So, for instance, if Collaboration wanted to present something, then you'd make a recording of it and pass it along to us, and we would put it in at a particular part of the day. So that's the kind of, so that all day this is running, and then at one point there'll be a break where we're going out to we're going actually outside in the real world, and going down to Brooks Park on 46 in Greenwood, and actually doing a brief presentation live there. And that would be slotted into the day too. But it would just be June 7th, all day GB, all day, always, in every kind of, so if somebody wanted to If a dance company wanted to do a dance, for that represented her poetry or went with her poetry or whatever, then again, get the recording to us and we slide it in, we slide it into the day. So it's a little bit more organized than that. We're going to spend, let people know it's happening, and you're going to need to let us know that you're thinking about doing something or what you're thinking about doing, so we don't end up with too many or too few things. So, but yes, but that is the tentative vision, and we're in end of October? Yeah, within the next month or so, we will have locked it down and start telling people about it.
Sounds like a great day for a Gwendolyn Brooks poetry slam. I tell you what, and Jeronimo has kind of set the early bar for folks. Do you know what I'm saying, Carla?
Listen, I've already sent the email of connection. So the email of connection has gone out. I think we will connect and make this full and rich. And this was just an amazing, phenomenal hour. It's just been an hour, yo.
It sounds like our mutual friend Marcus Dunleavy might want to turn on his camera. Marcus is an amazing guitarist, virtuoso guitarist. Nikolai, can you turn on Marcus's camera and bring him onto the stage? And Jeronimo, we also have the mutual friend, Collaboration Company member, the firekeeper, Loretta Hawkins.
Yes.
Man, she loves you.
So
I love her.
Like we're already family. There's hello, Marcus. Welcome. Turn your microphone on and thank you. Welcome. You have a question. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome to the stage.
Good to see you. Thanks so much. It's been such a pleasure. And I didn't really have much to say. I just didn't know if this was this was the first time I had seen a situation where when I came on into the Zoom session, there was no gallery of people. So it was just a different format.
Oh, this is a webinar, Marcus. We are flying at webinar altitude. It's a little fancier than your meeting, and that's why we pay that monthly fee. But we're glad you're here, and we know you're such a fan of Nora and Gwendolyn's. What did you think about Jeronimo Speaks, inspired by new works?
I don't have much that I could add to what you all said. I mean, I really felt the same way about just your wordsmithing, and that you actually, with your life, penetrated the heart of the pieces, to my understanding of them. I actually, an old Black woman, homeless and indistinct, I lived with 24/7 for a couple of months. One time back around the 105th or the 100th celebration project, I was in that poem really affected me deeply and changed my life. And then that Paul Robeson came up tonight. Again, that's another one that really penetrated my life, and that I lived in and breathed and ate for months at a time. And then also that Patrick Bowie came up tonight is another one that deeply penetrated my life and has been doing, helping do the work of transforming me. So just the one that I had thought about that I would love to ask about is Each Body Has Its Art. That was another one that I lived with and worked with for a while. And the poem I don't know if it was your last publication, Nora, but the poem "Old," which is I guess is one of her.
That's in Seasons.
That's another one that really touched my heart and penetrated me. My heart is full just to be with you guys and just to connect with the work and with her life, and thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Marcus. It's so cool to hear how these poems have penetrated you and changed who you are. And it's a testament to your own ability to feel, you know, and the cool thing is that I've heard you play the guitar many times, and I understand how talented you are and how you're channeling the same spirit that you feel, and it comes out in your work in a different way. It's so cool. The Firekeeper has raised her hand. Let's bring her up on stage. And Marcus, great to see you, brother. Thanks for joining us. Nora and Jeronimo Speaks, while we bring Firekeeper up here, other than good DNA, what are the ingredients that make a good poet these days? What should we put in the pot to make a good poet if we make the stew what are the things that you recommend?
Awareness for me, for one, that you know, it had been increasingly easy, and then what I'm referring to as the plague, because so many more things happened in this past year and a half than simply the pandemic, if you can use the word simply and attach it to the pandemic, that I just refer to it as a plague at this point, so that it wraps all of the stuff that's been going on. And we were already moving toward a culture that really wasn't paying that much, where we really weren't paying that much attention to each other. And it is so easy, I think, at this point, to not be aware of what's happening, like right next to you or right across from you. So I think one of the things to go in the poet pot is or of any artist, actually, whether musician or playwright or painter, is awareness of the world and the people around you, and what has come before and what is happening around you now, and what that may lead to, because we are on so many slippery slopes at this point in the world that it's a little terrifying that people just simply are not paying attention to what their actions now could mean in the future. And so I'm getting off my soapbox, because that's another 8-hour conversation. But yes, but awareness.
Well, I do believe that that one of the things that I put into the pot is just being true to self. You know, I don't write about anything that I don't understand, that I haven't been through, that I haven't experienced. I don't write. You know, I can't write what it's like to grow up in the suburbs, because I've never grew up in the suburbs. You know, and it's just being true. With poetry, you got to have a painful, honest truth to self. You feel me? Even if it's something that you don't like, even if it's something about you that you don't like, you know, you need to never, when you fabricate the artistry, you know what I mean? Then that's when you start to diminish in that artistry. So I've always tried to remain true to self within my work, you know?
Yep.
And we have Firekeeper here. Hello, Loretta. Great to see you.
Hi everyone. This was wonderful. My comment was, now everyone else knows what I have been saying to Jeronimo ever since I knew him, and that is he is a genius. Do I tell you that, Jeronimo?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I tell him every time I talk to him, I tell him he's a genius. And he truly is. His poetry is phenomenal. All of it is like that. That not just that poem, but all of his poems are like that. And Nora, what I wanted to say was, when I was teaching, my students had to learn certain poems. Every month we had a different poem. And one of the poems, of course, was We Real Cool. And even today, I have students who will say on Facebook, I remember we had to learn We Real Cool, and then they'll start reciting it. Okay? So that poem has really, I mean, I don't know if anything is going to overtake We Real Cool. They know that poem, all right? People 50 and 60 years old, they know that poem. And they would act it out. They would act it out. So I just wanted to say that. And I would like to just say that I was privileged to know Gwendolyn Brooks. And I just went upstairs during that break. I went upstairs and I got some of the cards that letters that she sent to me. And it's, you know, when I read some of them, I realized more than ever how wonderful a person she was. She wasn't just a great poet. She was kind, she was considerate. And I wrote her, I was nominated for an Apple Award when I was teaching. And I wrote Gwendolyn Brooks because we didn't have, you know, the internet. So everything was in writing. And so I wrote, probably we didn't even have cell phones. I don't know. I don't think we had cell phones. This was back in the early 80s.
Oh, no.
So we didn't have cell phones even. So everything was writing. And I wrote her and I asked, would you please nominate me? We had to have someone to vouch for you for the Apple Award. And I sent her the letter and I said, would you please nominate me? Not nominate me, just send me a letter of reference. And so this first letter, she says, Loretta, please forgive me. I will get your papers together and out of here. It has been a most trying fall, and I had to postpone many things. For example, it's 3:29 a.m. and I have been writing holiday cards all night. And then she wrote, hold on, with apologies, Gwen. And I'm thinking, Gwendolyn Brooks apologizing to me? Oh my God, you know, this woman is just incredible. And then I didn't hear anything from her. And then finally I got this last note and it says, to Loretta, well, just another friend I've lost. Off the train now until September. So I can attack the 2 tables of towers of mail awaiting a long, this besieged hand. I know I've been gathering hatred all over and out of the country. Although I'm sorry, there was nothing to be done about it. With all the country jumping, plus attempts at personal writing, all I could do was answer life and death letters. And it was wait until I got off the road to attend to others. So here's my apology for not answering you with the understanding I've lost a nice friend forever, Gwen. So that was Gwendolyn Brooks and how wonderful she was. Wow. So I love Gwendolyn Brooks deeply. She passed in 2020. What year? Well, no,
2000.
2000. Yeah. And it was the most beautiful funeral that I've ever been to. It was beautiful.
There were one of the worst days.
And the worst cold days in the winter. I went to work that day and I couldn't focus. I saw my principal. I said, I can't work. I've got to go to Gwendolyn Brooks' funeral and I'll take a personal business day. She said, no, don't take a personal business day. She said, you go to Gwendolyn Brooks' funeral and represent Gage Park High School. And so I did. And there were dignitaries from all over the world there. Praise dancers, barefoot, the Rockefeller Chapel, coming down the aisle with drums, just everybody who was anybody was there. And I kept thinking, I wish Gwendolyn Brooks could see this. I wish she could see this. I wish she could see this. It was so beautiful. Now, one thing I want to say about your mother, Nora, that I remember. She said to me, do not use the term African American.
Right.
She said, use the word Black. And that's what I do. So thank you.
And she has a poem called I Am a Black that speaks very specifically and clarifies that. And what I had to clarify for people during the centennial was because a lot of people use African American this, African American that. And I said, if you're really celebrating Mama this year, you'll define her the way she wanted to be defined. Mm-hmm. And that is to refer to her as a Black writer, a Black this, a Black that, mm-hmm. Because she wasn't playing the African American thing. In fact, wait just one second, because I think I have it sitting right here. I don't see it, but I was just gonna quote from it that she says, you know, that she closes the poem by saying, I am a Black and I capitalize my name. Do not call me out of my name. And so I think, well, we're all clear.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Loretta, thank you so much for joining and contributing those letters and you know, I'm always in the front row of your classroom, Loretta.
Thank you. Thank you. Everything was wonderful. It was powerful. Go, Jeronimo.
Thank you. I love you.
Yeah. Love you too.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Crucial Connections if I didn't make this connection. Okay, so Gwendolyn wrote all those words and shared all that truth and still her message resonates like she wrote it yesterday. What is that saying about us as a society today? How is it that Jeronimo Speaks can completely resonate and put his life and mesh it with those sentiments from a life lived 50 years prior to him? What is going on today that's still going on today that was going on back then that we really ought to be talking about, putting an end to or getting on with something else? That's not a rhetorical question.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll just go ahead and say it, that the reason why we do this work at Collaboration is to raise awareness and provide insight into how white supremacy, it just seeps into everything and everybody in a certain kind of way that's inescapable, and that it's persistent, it's all outdoors. And the stuff that Gwendolyn was writing in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s and the 80s and the 70s is resonating but on loudspeaker today. Like we got digital amplification, we got websites and social media, right? You know, really exposing this thing. So I just wanted to lift that up as a point of reference for the reason why this poetry, speaks so deeply to us, because it touches us at the part in our soul that aches the deepest, whether a wound is metaphysical, that if you hear these words, they come from her soul, right from the place where that thing out there wounded her the way it's wounded us. And that's why these words make sense to us. I don't know that I'm willing to get over and heal my wound. I'm gonna just remember who got me. What got me was E. Cummings. Now, what got him? Okay, so we can, so then I'm just gonna invite y'all to just join me. Marcus is a new fiction, a new way of living in the world that he's come up with. I'm done with living in a world of white supremacy from this moment forward. I'm not interested in co-conspirators who are willing to let's invent something new and start living in that space now. Let's just have our own bubble, liberated bubble of people who are just not hurting each other no more. We just ain't gonna do it. Y'all with me?
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Let's get on with it.
Sign me up.
Oh, yeah, let's get it.
I think we can spare to change.
We can spare.
Yes.
Nice.
And will God bless us? Will God bless us?
Hey, if you spare, then you already been blessed. What you mean? That was God's blessing. That was God's blessing to get you to get up off of some of that stuff that you ain't taking no place back to Him. You don't need that light years old. Okay, I'm channeling God now to all the powerful rich people. I'm channeling God now. Y'all can't bring that up here with me. Give it away to these people who need it.
Yep.
Thus saith from the book of Stillwell.
Okay.
Full stop.
Any other last words for Nora or Jeronimo or Firekeeper before we wrap this thing up? What a special episode, our 26. We'll give Nora the last words. Jeronimo, and then Firekeeper, and then Nora. Take us out.
Basically, I just want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. This is definitely one of the prouder moments in my poetry career. Just meeting the queen of your lineage, Miss Nora, is definitely a humbling experience. I was super nervous. I really wanted to do your mother justice, you know. And I just
did her justice.
Thank you. I just want to thank you guys. You know, Firekeeper been talking to me about collaboration like forever. Like, Geronimo, you got to come to collaboration. And I was like, okay, I got you. You know, and still, Carla Stillwell. You know, we've been rocking for the last couple of years, and you just keep bringing me back, giving me opportunity, telling me how much you believe in me, and I just appreciate you guys. I feel very humbled in this room right now to just be able to be around such amazing people that is literally doing the work. So thank you guys, you know.
Mm-hmm. So those two letters that I read them because when I read them both times I cried, because I felt this great woman has the nerve to apologize to me, Poet Laureate, all those years, Pulitzer Prize winner. She was humble. She was a humble woman. Although she was like, as you said, one of the greatest literary figures of this century, but she was humble and she was kind. And I loved her. And every time I think about it, you know. So that's what I want to say. Nora, your mother was something else, okay? She was something else. And you are so fortunate to be her daughter, and she is so fortunate to have you as her daughter. I wanted to say that.
Thank you.
The apple does not fall far from the tree. Okay. And I wanted to thank Collaboration for allowing me to say the things I said and to participate. Thank you.
The honor is always ours, Loretta. It's more than mutual. We'll see you on Saturday.
Yes.
Nora, close us out.
Well, you know, I was going to read a poem of Mama's to close out, but I do that all the time. So I thought I'd read a passage for something that I wrote. It's a play called Which West is Which. Carla, I don't know if you were at Chips when we did this one, but it's a play about, you were? Okay.
Yeah.
You were. In fact, I remember. Okay, anyway. That takes us down a whole nother road. But it's about Blacks in the Old West and who had left being sharecroppers, run from being sharecroppers and stuff in the South. And this was a character in the play. And it's one of the last things that's said in the play. So about 100 years ago. Like I said, people used to do for people. They knew how strong they were together, like separate fingers all connecting. See, your fingers aren't as strong when they forget they're a hand. Oh, sure, there are things only a finger can do. Push a button, point the way, but for strength, you need a hand. When folks talk about healing, they don't say we need a laying on of fingers. No, they say we need a laying on of hands. Hands. My folks believed in that, took it as their faith. They laid on hands, lent a helping hand, and got a hand up. Now I know that all of that needing to come together can't be gone. It wouldn't just whirl up like sand in a dust storm and disappear. That healing spirit is still somewhere inside. It's got to be for us to be.
Ashe. Ashe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nora. It's got to be for us to be. And yes, we can spare a change. What a special night it's been. Thank you all for joining us. Wow, this is one for the archives. That's our show. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you at Venue West in person or virtually this Saturday, October 23rd. For the Utopian Ball, because in the words of Gwendolyn Brooks, we are each other's business.
Yes. And this programming on Collaborations Together Network is made possible by support from our sponsors like AV Chicago, the Mark and Jeannie Malnati Family Foundation, the Joseph and Bessie Feinberg Foundation, and people like you who make a one-time donation at collaboration.org, or you can sign up and be a member.
Wow.
Take us out, man.
Thank you all for joining us. Great to spend time with you. What a special night. Carla, way to go, pulling it together with Jeronimo and Nora, and a firekeeper for joining us. So good to see Marcus Dunleavy. And hey, we're here, we're thinking local, but we're also connected on the global, dismantling oppression of all forms, living in Marcus's bubble of humanity. I'll see you guys on Saturday. I can't wait. Thank you all for joining us on our 26th episode of Crucial Connections, because we are alive and we are on this little rock spinning and orbiting the sun. So let's make the most of it.
Good night.
Good night.
Marcus, you wearing a suit on Saturday or what?
No, I got me a little sport coat.
So
New
did
one
I.
too, baby. I went out and got a little sport coat. I'm ready for the occasion, you know, being the co-chair and everything.
Co-chair. All right, I got a sport coat too, so we'll have to see how closely we match up.
It's on the blue side. I decided to come in sincere, you know. I'm on the blue side, you know.
I'm a brown orange. It's hot.
Oh, brown. That is definitely like the care for y'all. That's deeply empathic. That brown.
Oh, I got brown shoes, man. Wait till you see it.
And orange, that's holy too. So there you go. Look at you.
Yeah, the harvest.
I can't wait to dress up. We're
moon.
dressing up and coming out. Everybody come on out. Just get dressed up. Come on out. They won't hurt a thing.
Yeah, if you don't have a ticket, just sneak up to the door and say Marcus sent you. You're at Marcus's table. Good night, everybody.